Hi there, Liz Shaw from Shaw Lifestyle. Here today looking at a mobilisation series of exercises which is going to be a little bit longer. I tend to do either sort of the 5 or 10 minute mobilisations, which are great for just starting or finishing your day. But sometimes if you really feel you've had a tough week or a tough day and everything's just feeling tight, you want to take that time to really stretch everything out. And it's only if we do that that we will actually maintain our correct alignment and also get everything moving as it should. I've said this many times before, we tend to be so frontal these days. You know, we're here or we're here, whatever it may be, everything is here. We don't really get that opportunity to stretch out the arms, use that bigger range of movement that we should be using. The legs, the same thing. Even if you run and you cycle and you row and all of these sorts of things tend to be biplanar. So it's about just working front and back. We don't tend to work the legs outwards and inwards and really get that hip movement happening. The more we can use our whole range of movement, the healthier and the less achy our bodies will be. It really is that use it or lose it system. Just to remind you, just going to get Fred here because this all comes back down to alignment and balance. So I always say to my clients, the best way that I could actually correct your posture is by picking you up by the head and just letting you dangle. I promise I don't do that with my clients, but it would mean that everything would just fall in the way it's supposed to, rather than us building from down up and we get all these strange sort of misalignments, and even our kids, you know, with a heavy school bag, things start going off track. So what we're trying to do is rediscover this alignment, and when we have this alignment, the muscles will be aligned as well, because there will be an equal pull on one side of the body and the other. So that's really what this is all about. Okay, so popping Fred over here to keep an eye on us, and let's get going. As always, I will start with shoulders. Those of you who know me know that I've got a little bit of a thing about those shoulders and how much they need to really ease out. So breathing in and out and out. Really breathe into it and reverse it. And we're talking about the shoulder blades, those triangles of bone on the back. Really get as much movement in there as you can. Make it a bit bigger this time. Again, 4 circles, but we're getting the elbows involved as well, which means the arm sockets are starting to wake up. Coming over the top, 4 front, 4 forwards, and 3, and 4. A little bit bigger still. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Oh, I can feel that crunch. 1, and 2, and 3. Nice and big. 4. Okay, give it a little bit of a shake. And we're going to go one at a time. And as you do this, you know normally I'm talking about posture and being held. I actually don't want you to be held here. I want you to allow the spine to go with the movement. So what's happening now is those little intervertebral discs, those little pockets of gel in between your vertebrae are being squished and squashed this way and that, which is a good thing. Go the other way. It's just getting it all mobilized, and once again allowing that line of vertebrae, your spine, to do what it doesn't usually do, just making sure it goes through all its possible movements. Okay, we're going to ask you to bring the hands in front of you now and squeeze backwards and forwards, out and in, out. So if I turn sideways, you can see I'm taking those elbows behind me as much as I can, behind and behind. You can take it down as well, down low. You're going to work slightly different muscles if you're working down there, and take it up high. Squeeze every time. I'm squeezing between those shoulder blades. Squeeze and come back to center. Squeeze and squeeze between those shoulder blades and squeeze. Okay, give it a bit of a shake. Now I'm going to take the arms outwards and upwards and then back down again. I'm going to combine my breath. So breathe in and breathe out. And again, breathe in and breathe out. And as I do this, I'm sensing my arms radiating from my back. So I'm trying to feel how the back muscles are working as well. It's not just about my arms by any means. Okay, give it a little bit of a shake. Last one for the moment for the arms. Bring the arms up here, and we're going to squeeze the elbows down into our sides and recover. squeeze down and recover. Imagine a sponge under the armpit, just squeeze into it and recover. And once again, this is about my shoulder blades really moving down. Recover and squeeze, recover and squeeze, recover and drop it down. Okay, give everything a little bit of a shake. And now we're going to get into the remainder of the spine. So we've looked at that top area, which is the shoulder, neck a little bit, because it's very much connected. So if I turn sideways, we're going to come to one end of the mat. I'm going to just give myself a micro bend in the knees, just a little bit. As always, abs are gently pulling into the spine to keep me supported. And I'm just going to drop my chin to my chest first of all. And I'm going to come down one by one over the top of my spine. And I'm going to stop around about here. Just breathe into it. Now what I want you to do, each one of you, is roll up a little bit, roll down a little bit, come a little bit further up, a little bit further down, play around with it and see where it is that you think, oh yeah, just that, I want to ease into it. And just hold there for a moment and really breathe into the position. Now for some of you, it will be lower. For some of you, you'll want to be about there and really just breathe into the area of the back that you're feeling tight. Some of you it might be higher. It really doesn't matter. Each part of the spine is interconnected, so all the way through the line of the spine, wherever it is you most feel the need, that's where you want to just stop for a moment and breathe into it. Okay, and just come up tall again, drawing tall through the top of the head. Just turn the head right and left and see how that feels, and going the other way as well. And just take it back and drop it forwards. And a lot of us have a lot of tension in this area. So I'm just going to ask you to do something here. Go easy on this one and take it as you need to. Just interlace the fingers and sort of glue them together. Feel them quite tight. And you're going to pop them just around about in between your ears here behind the head. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to let the chin drop forwards. And my arms, I'm not going to tense per se, but I'm going to let them drop with gravity. So as my head goes down, my elbows are just going to drop because gravity is taking over. I'm going to squeeze into the tummy and I'm going to go a little bit lower. And again, I'm really going to feel the weight of my hands on my head and just stop wherever is good for you. Now, all I'm doing here is allowing the weight of my hands plus gravity to pull onto my head, and that's going to pull gently up at the upper neck here. Just breathe into it. Hold it there. Hold it there, breathing deeply. On the count of 3, you're going to allow the arms to just drop. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and drop. Just bring the head and the spine back up tall. See how that feels. You should feel the head feeling quite a bit lighter because you've just released some of that tension in the back of the neck. Go one more time. If you feel a little bit insecure, you can do this sitting on a chair. So just sit evenly on the sit bones. Draw tall and drop down just as we have done standing, but do it on a chair. Absolutely fine if you feel you'd rather have that bit of extra security, extra support. Interlacing the fingers in behind the head, tummy tight against the spine. Allow the chin to drop to the chest as you drop the elbows forward, and then roll on down through the vertebrae. Find that position where you feel you're getting the pull you want on your neck, and then you can go a little bit further. You might feel, oh yeah, that's where I need it in my spine as well. Or you may think, no, it's better off a little bit higher up. I'll just come back up a bit. Just play around with it. Feel where is best for you. Once you feel you've really eased into it and stretched out, we're going to hold for 5, 4, 3, and then we're going to drop the arms down, 2, 1, and drop. Allow yourselves to draw tall again and feel that head bobbing up like a balloon, nice and light, hopefully just easing out some of that tension. Okay, this time we're going to go all the way down, so drop the chin to the chest. Down we go one by one. We go all the way to the floor. We're going to walk out onto all fours. We're just going to have a little round up and arch through, and again round on up and arching through. Last time, rounding up and arching. Now you're going to imagine you're a dog or a cat, whichever is your preference, and swish the tail to one side and then swish it to the other. And as you do so, you're looking at it. So look to the tail and swish. So you're really getting that movement in the lower spine. Swish and swish. Really turn the head to look at it. Rotate the neck and swish. Last two and swish and swish. Okay, now a different rotation. You're going to pop. Imagine you've got a cloth on your bottom and you're going to wash the windows. So we're going to go around and through, and around and through, and around and through, and around and through. Go the other way. Around and through. Look at how much movement I'm getting through the spine and through. I'm really rounding it up and arching down and round up and arch down. So we've got that ongoing chain reaction through the length of the spine. I'm going to go up into a round this time, and from there we're going to sit back onto the heels, and then from there we're going to press back up into a round. We're going to stay keeping that rounded position. Hinge back at the knees, still rounding the back. Push up. Now take the hands just a little bit further forwards now and do the same thing so you get more of a stretch through the back. And come up. Push the bottom back into the heels so you really stretch through. And up. And press. And stretch through. And press. And relax it down. Take the hands by your sides. Allow the shoulders to flop. So really feel those shoulders flopping to the floor. Now you're going to clap the hands behind your back. So clasp the hands. And now think of those shoulder blades and squeeze between the shoulder blades and allow them to drop. And again, squeeze between them and allow them to drop. Imagine you've got a big fat marker between your shoulder blades and you're squeezing to hold that marker. And again, squeeze and drop. And last one, squeeze between them and drop. Well done. Allow the arms to flop to the floor. Just release there for a moment. And this time we're going to take the hands clasped behind the back once again and squeeze between the shoulder blades and try and pull those arms up just a little bit. Breathe into it. Just go as far as you can. 3, 2, 1, and allow them to drop down. Coming back here, this time I'm going to slide along, slide forwards, nose, chin, up to an arch, round the back, and back you go. So this is a different circle. Going, slide, forehead, nose, chin, lead with the head, round the back, up, and sit back on the heels. Here we go again. Sliding, forehead, nose, chin, lead with the chin and the head, round the back, sit back on the heels, and sliding, forehead, nose, chin, lead, up. Stay there for a moment. Now we're going to go into a baby version of that. So we're going to keep this chest nice and open as we push down, bending the arms. That's all. The bottom is still high in the sky. Now my bum's going to go low as my back rounds. So round the back up. And now we're going to reverse it again. So slide, forehead, nose, chin to go to an arch. And this time keep the bum high, chest open. And then round through, dropping the bottom down. Let's go again. Forehead, nose, chin, arch the back. Here we go again. Pressing down with the bottom high and through, round the back. Really squeeze into that tummy. And again, down, slide, through, arch, up. And this one's all about rounding the back and making the back muscles long. Really, really long. Stay there, stay there, stay there. Rounding through, so tucking that tailbone underneath you so you've really got that roundness. And just drop into child's pose. And stay there for a moment. Allow the weight of the body to really, really drop into the floor. As you are here, you're going to walk the fingers forward. So walk and walk and walk and walk and walk. I'm feeling that stretch through the vertebrae, through the sides, through the whole of my upper body. Now I'm going to take the right fingers and I'm going to walk them further so that I feel that stretch through the one side of the body and I breathe into that lung Really feeling that one lung filling as much as I can. And recover. Got it. Same thing on the other side. Walking it, walking it, walking it. Reaching out that arm, reaching out that side. Really feeling it, stretching and opening, breathing into that lung. And recover to center, and just take a moment there. Okay, pushing up into a couple of rotations. Here we go. We're going to go straight into threading the needle. So taking the arm sky high and then pulling down and underneath. And as you do that, you're going to reach the other arm out, drop the head into the floor. I'm just being careful about doing that so I don't lose my mic, but you're going to drop the weight of the head entirely down to the floor. Retract that front arm, coming up, and here we go again, reaching to the sky, high, 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 and then going down and underneath. Back of the hand onto the floor, reach it under, really get that shoulder blade underneath you, dropping the head into the floor, and reaching that front arm out. One more time coming up, retract the arm, come up high, reach the arm to the sky, squeeze between the shoulder blades, and then you're going to do the opposite. So you're going to bring the back of the hand onto the floor, down and underneath, stretching out that area between the shoulder blades, reaching the arm out, and stretch, 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 stretch it out. And retract the front arm, come to sitting, other side, tall, long arm, reaching and squeeze between the shoulder blades, down and underneath, the back of the arm comes under, you reach long with that arm, you reach the other arm out as well, and lengthen them both, really feel that stretch and feel what it's doing through the back. Retract the arm, come back, and here we go again, up tall, come down and under, really reaching it through, and reach out, and long as you can, really reach it out, breathing through. Retract front arm, come up one more time, reach up, and come down and through, underneath, and reach, and stay there. Breathing into it, long, long arms, feeling it through the back, between the shoulder blades. Retract the arm, come to all fours, and then just swing yourselves around onto your backs. So now we're going to just think about the spine in a different position. I'm going to roll through. Here I come. I'm going to draw both knees into the chest first of all, pull them in towards me to the extent that my tailbone pulls off the floor. Just hold it there. So if you look, this is actually peeled off the bottom end of my spine. 3, 2, 1, and release into the floor again. Once again, you're going to do 3 sets of hugging those knees into the chest for 10 seconds. Hold it in, pull that tailbone off the floor so you really feel that sense of stretch and release through the base of the spine. 3, 2, 1, and recover. Last time, drawing it in. 10, 9, 8, drop the shoulders, no tension shoulders. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Okay, now hold on to the one knee now. Stretch the other leg away. So I'm still getting that stretch through the back of this thigh, but I'm also feeling it through the front of the other hip. And as I'm lying here, I'm focusing on the shoulders being relaxed and released into the floor. Just give yourself a little circle of that other ankle, rotating around. Our poor ankles, they take all the weight of our body all day long, as long as we're walking or standing, and we don't pay them enough attention. Reverse it the other way. Getting into those ankles, all of the ligaments and the muscles around those ankles, just giving them a little bit of help as well. Okay, and let's change sides. So pressing that leg away, drawing the other knee in towards you, hugging it in, and again, just make sure the shoulders are dropped. It's very easy through habit to tense into the shoulders. You don't need tension in the shoulders to hold this position. Just hugging the one knee in towards you and really feeling that fabulous sense of length through the front of the other thigh. And let's circle, circling around and around, round. Really feel it. Imagine your toes are drawing around all the 60 seconds of a clock. Go the other way. Round you go, as big as you can, really helping out that foot. Around and around and around. and just relax. Okay, bringing both feet flat on the floor. We're going to do that same idea of circling, but with the thigh itself. So I'm going to bring the knee in towards me, and I'm going to think about my knee drawing circles. So draw circles with your knee. You can imagine you've got a torch on the end of the knee there, and that torch is drawing circles on the ceiling. What's actually happening, though, is my hip here is circling deep in my hip socket. So if you think of the thigh bone, it's a long bone, longest bone in the body. The top of it is like a ball shape, and that ball is now going around and around inside my hip socket. Let's reverse the circle. So it really is like a spoon stirring around all the fluid that's in that hip socket. So I want you to imagine that fluid like Vaseline, which is literally what it is, and you're stirring that Vaseline around, which means it's getting warmer and warmer. That whole joint is warming up, and that means the consistency of the fluid is changing. Just pop that foot down on the floor, and let's do the same thing with the other leg. Draw the knee in, and here we go. Focusing on the knee, drawing a circle with your knee. As I say, if you want, you can imagine a torch on the knee, and you're drawing that circle on the ceiling. And the result of that is a circle deep within the hip socket. Around and around, just drawing into the tummy gently as well to keep that spine supported, and around. Reverse it. So once again, it's like a spoon stirring this fluid around. If you imagine Vaseline, if you were to pop a pot of Vaseline onto a table out in the sun, its consistency would change. It would go from being really quite thick and fairly hard to being much more gooey, much more fluid, and that's exactly what we've just done with those hip sockets. Now that we've done that, we've warmed up the hip sockets. By the way, that's a great one to do first thing in the morning. If you feel a bit stiff in the hips when you get up in the morning, just give yourself a few of those circles before you get out of bed, before you start putting your weight onto the hips. Now that we've warmed them up, knees to chest, hands, palms of the hands together as if you were clapping your hands. You're going to just separate the knees a little bit and pop the hands between them, and then turn the hands outwards, turn the palms outwards, sorry, I should say, and allow the knees to drop outwards as you keep the soles of the feet together. So this is giving you a stretch through the inner thighs, opening out those inside thighs, also stretching your hip flexors. Now your hip flexors are deep within you. You won't probably feel the stretch because it's quite a deep muscle, but trust me, the more time you spend sitting, the more those hip flexors are tightened in, and they need that opportunity to stretch. They lie on a diagonal, so by stretching the legs out this way, you're just easing into those hip flexors, getting that lovely sense of stretch. And again, breathe into it. Always, always more effective to stretch while focusing on the breath. That breath out is always going to allow you to just ease into the stretch that little bit more. And again, in this position, you can circle those ankles if you feel you want something a little bit more to do. Circling one way and the other. Just allowing those hips to open out, give them a bit of a wiggle within the hip socket. Now we're going to come into one of my favorites now. So you're going to draw those knees together and come into laughing baby. So you're going to send the toes towards the ceiling, knees nice and bent, and you're going to try and reach your toes with your hands. If you can reach the big toes, that's what you're aiming for. Otherwise, you can hold on lower down. If you can reach the toes, that's great. And you separate the legs apart, and you lie just as a baby in a cot would lie. Now here we are, we're back into that open leg position where you're getting into the hip flexors and the inside thighs. You're also pulling down on the toes, so you're getting that much more of a stretch through the lower back as well. Just breathe into it. If you think about a baby, this is a position you see them in so often, and yet we obviously don't often lie like this. It's a fabulous one for just getting everything out of those positions we've become used to, which is obviously a good thing because you're just rebalancing from all of those postures that we tend to overuse. If you want to, you can rock a little bit from side to side in this position as well, just rocking the weight from one side to the other, one side to the other, or you can just settle in the middle and stay there. Feeling, just allowing those toes to draw in towards you a little bit more. Okay, and bring the knees in again, and just drop them down and pop them down on the floor one by one. Okay, as we are there, just going to come into a little bit more of a spinal movement. So we're going to push up into bridge, but I don't want you to think about it as a strength and a toning exercise. We're just doing this to ease things out. So gently putting the abdominals down into the spine to support, peel the tailbone off the floor, come up one by one by one, and then roll back down one by one by one by one by one. And when you reach the base, bring the knees in, tailbone off, and then set the feet down one by one. Same again, peel off, pelvis, vertebra, vertebra, vertebra. This time take the arms out as well. Behind you, keep those ribs soft. Down one by one by one by one by one. Knees in, arms round, and hug. And release, feet down one by one. Here we go again. Pushing up, and as you do so, take the arms out behind you. And then ironing the vertebrae out one by one by one by one. And hug as you bring the arms around and through. Last time, feet down one by one. Here we go. Peeling up, 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 down. Sorry, back through the arms. There. Bring the arms around as you come down and hug the knees in to peel the tailbone off. Release. Pop the feet down, okay? Now then, if you are up to it, it's good to stretch out the hamstrings as well. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of a hamstring stretch. I would suggest you use a scarf. I've got a yoga strap, but you can use a scarf. It's perfectly fine. Here we are. With that scarf, we're going to press the foot upwards towards the sky. We're going to allow those arms to just hang. I'm not tensing through the shoulders once again. So they're just hanging on that strap. And as much as my arms are weighing down towards the floor, so my foot and my leg is reaching towards the ceiling. So I'm feeling the back of my leg is long and my heel is shooting towards the ceiling, so that I've got that fabulous sense of length through the back of my leg. So I'm going to feel the calf muscle. The more I flex my ankle, the more I pull my toes down towards me. And the more I am aware of settling that tailbone and the sit bone down towards the floor and pulling against the leg, the more I'm going to feel it in the upper leg as well, really getting into that hamstring. If you can rotate the leg as well. So imagine those toes are now looking at 12 o'clock. You're going to rotate the toes so that they look at 10 past 2. And that has turned the leg. So again, the leg is rotating within the hip socket. This time you can imagine it like a key in a keyhole, and it's round, rotating around. You'll feel a different pull down the outside of the hamstrings, really pulling into that there. Come into center, and then we're going to rotate inwards. So it's going to be 10 to the hour. Turning the toes so they're looking at 10 to, and rotating that leg inside the hip socket. Return to center, and this time just ease in a little bit closer, wherever you are comfortable with. So you're going to that point of mild tension. Don't overdo it, but do just ease it out. Again, if we spend too long sitting, our hamstrings can get very tight, and that can have an effect on our lower backs. Release, and let's change legs. Pressing the feet up towards the ceiling again. So you're pulling the toes down towards you, pushing the heel upwards towards the ceiling. You may find one leg is quite different to the other. I've got a very, very old hamstring injury on this leg, so this leg is always tighter than the other one. Be aware, most of us are a little bit imbalanced, if we're honest. Imbalanced in the muscles, I should say, So just breathing into it. So what I was saying before in terms of the pelvis, my hamstrings actually start on my sit bone, that knobbly bit, which is a part of my pelvis. So that's why we've got this direct connection with the lower back, and it's so important to stretch out the hamstrings if you have any lower back issues. Let's rotate that leg within the hip socket, so turning the toes so they're looking at 10 to the hour. Rotating the leg outwards in the hip socket. Just change the pull. You'll feel it more in the outer hamstrings now. Bring into center and rotate inwards, different pull. Feel it happening. Draw those toes down towards you, really rotate it, feel the pull, feel it, feel it, feel it, and release. Now take a breath in, and as you breathe out, just see if you can ease that leg in any further. Now listen to your body. You want to be going to that point of mild tension, not to an angry stretch. There's a difference between, ooh, yeah, that's really easing it out, and ooh, that's just gone too far. So really focus in on what you're doing here. Okay, releasing that leg. Just getting rid of that strap. Just going to do a little bit of rotation in the lower body. So keeping hold gently of these lower abdominals, we're going to allow the legs to drop one way and the head to go the other way. So what's happening here is from the waist downwards, I'm rotating one way, and from the sternum, the breastbone upwards, the spine is rotating the other way. So two opposing spirals going on. Breathing in, breathe out, gently draw that navel into the spine to return to center, and then go over the opposite way. Legs going one way, head the opposite. Two opposing spirals. Again, just gently holding onto those abdominals so you're supported through the spine. Breathe in, breathe out, pull the navel back into the spine. You're going to do the same thing, but this time one leg is crossed over the other. Breathe in, breathe out, pull the belly button back into the spine to support the spine. Take the legs over one way, so the pelvis has completely left the floor now, but my shoulders are still flat into the floor. Allowing this part of the body to really, really rock over. So you've got a good stretch through the hip and the waist there. Arms flat on the floor. Breathing in to prepare. Breathing out, drawing the belly button into the spine, replacing the vertebrae one by one until you roll into center. Uncross, recross, going the other way. Pulling the belly button down against the spine, rotating over. Same idea again. From the breastbone down, you're rotating one way. From the breastbone upwards, rotating the other way. Shoulders flat on the floor. Breathing in to prepare. Pull the belly button into the spine as your start point to roll the pelvis back into center. And go one more time, just taking a little bit further. So nice tight cross. Over we go to the one way, head going the other way. Now what I'm going to ask you to do is that underneath leg is going to stretch and reach out, and you're going to just ease the other leg over a little bit more. Just rotating as far as you are comfortable with. Listen to the body. Pressing into that rotation. Breathe in, breathe out. Draw the navel into the spine. Just ease those legs back in towards you if you want as you come out. Over you go. Nice tight cross, breathing in, breathing out, rolling the legs to the one way, taking the head the other way. And again, the underneath leg stretches out, which leaves you a little bit more room to just press this leg down into the floor. If you wish, you can stretch the other arm out, and that's going to give you a stretch through the back as well. Really, really reaching everything away, holding into it. Breathe in, breathe out. Back into center, pull those knees back into the chest. Take a moment there. Okay, so from there, just going to ask you to sit up for a moment. And we're going to go back onto all fours just to get that mobilization through the spine one more time before we stand up into a little bit of a downward dog sequence. Sorry, those of you who aren't keen on your downward dogs, just to really focus on stretching out those hamstrings again before we finish up. So here we go. We're coming over onto all fours. Just go through that round and arch. This is such a good one for the spine. It should be feeling, hopefully, that much more mobilized, that much more fluid, and that much less crunchy after all the work we've done. And through and up and round you go, and through and up. Now tuck those toes underneath you. Use that as your start point. Gently pull in the belly button into the spine as you press up to standing. And here we go. We're going to pedal the heels one by one. Now if you're not too flexible and you need the knees to be quite bent, that's fine. You can still get this pedaling effect and you're still stretching out the back. So it's up to you to make it work for you. If you've got that much more flexibility, then you're aiming
to press the heel down as much as you're pushing the sit bone up to the ceiling. So you're really getting that two-way pull. Press and press. Okay, and now push both heels down. Pressing through what works for you. Pressing the rib cage through to the thighs as well. So you've got that fabulous stretch underneath the arms, through the ribs as well, stretching it out. Breathing into it. If you need to bend the knees, if it's very uncomfortable, bend the knees. Absolutely fine. You're making it work for you. Now I'm either going to walk my hands towards my feet or my feet towards my hands. Into my hanging position. I'm going to drop my chin totally to my spine. Rock into my feet. And I'm just going to come back to this position whereby my elbows are bent and my hands are clasping my elbows. If you just let the hands drop, I find for myself this is quite a different feeling. This is all my focus now is on the backs of my legs. If I clasp my hands, my arms suddenly become a lot heavier and I really feel that fabulous sense of length through my back, really drawing the vertebrae apart. Allow the head to just hang heavy. Now take me a deep breath in. Breathe out and pull the belly button into the spine. That's your start point to start drawing up one by one, bit by bit, through the spine. Drop the arms down. Keep building through the line of the spine. Stand tall through the top of the head. Just reach to the skies. So feel the line of that spine very, very tall. Okay, and as we're standing there, I'm going to ask you to take a nice outward circle with the arms, breathing in. And press the palms of the hands together as you come through to heart center. And again. Filling the lungs and press through and breathe out. And again, breathe in. As you press down, slide the shoulder blades down the back. And one more time. Take a moment there. Drop the hands to the side. Just draw tall through the top of the head. Feel that spine long. Feel that the vertebrae have lengthened. Those intervertebral discs hopefully have plumped up. It's just like plumping up the cushions on your sofa. That's what you're doing by getting all this mobilization going. Just take a moment to feel, hopefully you feel a little bit longer, a little bit lighter. Just gently draw that navel into the spine so you've got that little bit of support. But everything else should just feel quite light and fluid and released after all of that mobilization. Hope it's been helpful. Do take out the bits that you find are most helpful for you and take them out as just a little 5-minute mobilization for yourself. But whenever you have the time to actually give yourself that gift of half hour, 40 minutes of really easing everything out, you will feel the benefits, I promise. Hope it's been helpful. See you next time around.